Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Little Pod of Horrors, the best idea since premarital sex on Halloween. Sorry for the delay in shows recently, and then you'll get a sudden rush together. This just seems to be how we do stuff. Gordon is still on sort of hiatus. He's got a hell of a lot going on right now, and we are doing what we can to bring you shows. And we are very conscious that this is Halloween, so this is our Halloween show, but we haven't had the time, I'm afraid, to put together what we would have done, just because of life circumstance and stuff. But we have the very next best thing, because I have another very special guest joining me for this episode, and it's probably somebody you don't know because he's fairly new to the airwaves, but I figured we'd just drop him in at the deep end where podcasting was concerned. So everybody, meet my friend Ryan Blake.
Hello, hi. There's a really sharp drop-off between the best thing and the next best thing in Bozzy's way of reckoning things. So just please appreciate that before you judge me.
Brilliant. That's a great way to introduce yourself. Ryan has... I got to know Ryan recently, mainly through his movie nights. And that's movie nights with a K, because we are the Knights of Moviedom, which is all for his... well, we talked about it before on the show, where we go round, we pay what we would if we were going to the cinema, and I figured it'd just be to watch a couple of movies, but no, this guy puts on the full gambit. We get Play Your Dead Right? Or something.
Play Dead Right, yeah. Zombie killing equivalent of Play Your Cards Right.
And one of the best Brucey impressions I've heard in a long time. And basically, flipping the cards over and characters from zombie movies with their kills next to them, and you have to, just guess whose next one's going to be higher or lower till you get to the end. And he does us awesome little prizes, take-home mementos from the nights, and they're really, really good. And obviously is making shit tons of money for Macmillan, which is cancer charity. Do you want to? I'll let you talk more about it now because it's your baby.
Okay, right. So I think you've covered it quite well there. Yeah, basically the idea is, as Boz said, you pay the equivalent of what you would for going to the cinema, and sundry snacks, and I supply like food, the films, and as much entertainment as my imagination can muster up at the time. Like this, which usually takes the form of some kind of a quiz, but this time we had Kill Your Dead Right. For the Vampire Night one, it was... Oh my god, what was it called at the Vampire Night one?
Was it something to do with steaks? Steak your vamps right or something?
Or it was something like that, yeah. I really should know, considering how long I spent setting it up. But yeah, and there's a quiz where people display quite how ignorant they are of movie lore, to be honest. And also...
Oh, and the Shakespeare. Don't forget the Shakespeare.
A relatively new thing, yeah. The pulp Shakespeare, as I sort of call it, where I take famous, or hopefully famous dialogue scenes from various films and rewrite them into Elizabethan English, and when I can, iambic pentameter, and and the people there act them out, and the other team have to guess what the scene is. I think everyone...
Which I adore.
They all got guessed last time, didn't they? Last time we did it, I think they all got guessed. I had to give a couple of clues, but...
Well, this week was devilishly difficult, but I just enjoy reading out your prosa. It's extremely well written.
Yes, and I was cleverly tricked into swearing as well.
Yeah, I just picked the part with less swearing. Sorry.
Yeah, next time I'll read ahead. Next time I'll read my own script and check.
Well, you can swear as much as you like on here.
I'm sure you must have at least one lady listening, so I can't.
Okay. There's so few gentlemen left in this world. It was zombies this week, so we watched the amazing quality Blu-ray. It was the Arrow Blu-ray, wasn't it?
It was the Arrow production, yeah. They really did an amazing job restoring it.
And that was Day of the Dead.
Yeah.
Which... I think I had on a bit too much of a pedestal, because the one thing we do when we do these nights, if it's a film that's everybody's seen before, there's a fair amount of heckling goes on. There
is, and some of it completely justified, and some of it really harsh. There's no sacred cows at the movie nights. I discovered very early on, no sacred cows, and basically it was decided, I think, at the end of watching it, that nothing really happens in Day of the Dead except right at the end. It's a film with no plot and awful characters. Not not awfully written. Just no one in it is particularly. Who do you cheer for, Bub?
Yeah, Bub. That's it.
That is it. Bub is it.
It's all about Bub.
The thing is, for all we know, he was a kitten-eating paedophile in his previous life before he became a zombie. We don't know anything about him, and everyone and yet because he learns to salute and answer the phone, everyone goes, "Oh, Bub must be the good guy," because the humans are all so awful in it. Get your priorities right, people.
I mean, the military leader he's pure class, because I said last night, if there was an acting scale of intensity going from 0 to 10, he basically goes from 2 to 10, back to 2, back to 10. It's just like it dials it up immediately, overacts his way through the whole movie.
And the 2-bit are just the silences for drawing breath, so he can go back to 10 again.
Yes.
It's not him being subtle or having a brooding moment, it's just... I need to draw breath so I can swear at you some more. And we did that. We ended up doing that sort of swearing bingo because practically every sentence he said had a swear in it.
Yeah, and you were really good at calling it just before each swear happened, which made it twice as funny.
And you know what? That's purely based on knowledge of like 80s films. Not based because I've not seen Day of the Dead that often. That's like my third time seeing it. So it wasn't the script. It was how he was holding himself and the fact that it was like right in the epicenter of the 80s. So it was a zeitgeist prediction scale rather than how many times have I seen the film.
Well, I tell you ask who should we be rooting for in the movie? Who is the character we love most? The character we love most is Tom Savini's prosthetic work.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's amazing.
On that Blu-ray print, it holds up so well, because if there was flaws, you'd see it, because it's so crystal clear. And nothing took me out of it as far as the gut effects and everything. I mean, the roll over, spill your stomach contents on the floor part is just it's fantastic.
God, yeah. It's amazing, and you realise quite how much of the human anatomy is made up of sausages.
Yes,
but even
lamb's liver.
Because you compare it to for example, The Walking Dead, and it completely holds up. I mean, it even surpasses it in certain instances.
Yeah.
And like you said, the Blu-ray takes no prisoners, and it's so crystal clear. And even when we see spoilers, because if you haven't seen Day of the Dead now, then you're listening to the wrong podcast as far as I'm concerned. But when the military guy sees his genitals walking off in the other direction, carried by the zombies,
yes,
you believe it. You believe that his genitals are being dragged off by a bunch of zombies. And
you believe that that's why he's upset, not that he's been split in twain.
No, exactly. And the bit where he says choke on him, there's no such, as we said at the time, there's no such expression as choke on my legs. So he's clearly referring to his genitals there.
Yes, there we are. Well, we lowered the tone of this quick, didn't we?
Yeah, well, that's why I'm just a guest star and not a recurring.
We'll see. The weird coincidence of it was that I really wasn't paying attention leading up to the Zombies Night. I know we'd said Day of the Dead way back when, but that had escaped my memory. But just on the off chance, me and Lavinia watched the reboot, the newer version of Day of the Dead, just the other week. It wasn't I'd seen it before and I'd largely forgotten it, which made me think maybe it's terrible.
I think your memory sabotaged itself rather than make you retain it.
But I didn't hate it this time round. The way they did the bub thing was kind of clever. How they, because it's very different. They didn't try and do the same film again. They give it a completely different sort of premise. And the thing I liked about it is the zombies were impossibly fast and impossibly strong, which just makes a different dynamic, And one of them becomes an alien. From the Aliens franchise towards the end, because they're just walking down this corridor and this fucking zombie comes out of the roof, a guy just goes and disappears up into the roof.
That's true.
Really?
That is true. What my sort of opinion on that film is why call it the Day of the Dead if the only thing you're going to have in common is some people in military uniform and zombies?
Yeah.
I mean, what was the point of it?
Well,
also, you've got the woman in that who's got the gun with no bullets in. And if you remember, in the original Day of the Dead, you had the from 2 to 10 scale colonel or whatever rank he was, who had the bullets going round his shoulders on the back as a bandolier that couldn't possibly fit into the gun he was firing. So in one you had a useless gun, and in the other you had useless bullets. Put them together.
He's got a whole lot of useless.
and you've got nothing. That was going nowhere. Yeah. But I just I don't know what I mean. The remake of Dawn of the Dead, Zack Snyder's film, was it was different enough, but it was similar enough to be like a worthy film. It's worth seeing. I could happily do a double bill of both Dawn of the Deads.
Yeah.
And be entertained in two different ways. Even though they obviously, have very similar backdrops to them. Whereas the Day of the Dead, they didn't bother to do that. And I think, given that Day of the Dead, the original version, is very much mired in a Cold War climate, and a remake should have taken advantage of the current climate and fear of terrorism and the war on terror and the propaganda du jour. And I think they could have had a really entertaining. They could have had a much more entertaining premise and a much more imaginative premise than they did. Because with Dawn of the Dead, consumerism is still obviously, very much a ripe target, and that's why they kept it in the shopping mall, as far as I'm aware. Whereas Day of the Dead, the politics of today are very different. Different cause, perhaps same effect, but still, I think they could have done something a lot more imaginative than they actually did. And also, Mina Suvari looks like a gentle breeze could knock her over. I don't buy her as a soldier. Maybe that part is just me, but I just think it was a bit of a wasted opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, maybe they just did that with the plot because they was paying homage to the original and the plot was a bit shit on that. So let's make the remake have a bit of a shit plot as well.
Hey, it was a simple workman-like plot. There was nothing wrong with the plot of Day of the Dead. Okay, it was a simple plot, and it was about humanity disintegrating under pressure. Okay, and you don't need to have anything complicated going on, and you certainly don't need a bunch of ingrates shouting at the TV saying this film is not actually as good as I remember it. Okay?
First came the night, then came the dawn. Now comes the most eagerly awaited day in horror film history. George A. Romero's Day of the Dead.
We've been punished by the Creator. We visited a curse.
Hello! Is anyone there?
For the few remaining, their only hope of survival is to find a cure.
You're wasting time trying to define what's happening.
But the odds are against them.
We're in the minority now. Something like 400,000 to 1 by my calculations.
And so is Captain Rhodes.
Anybody else have any questions about the way things are going to run around here from now on?
Their one chance is Bub.
It's working on instinct. A deep, dark, primordial instinct.
But their time is running out.
They can be fooled, don't you see? They can be tricked into being good little girls and boys. The same way we were tricked into it and promised some reward to come.
But when the tricks wouldn't work,
They're learning. They're actually learning.
their world fell apart.
Let him go! God damn it! I'll cut you in half.
Shoot that woman or you're dead.
Wasn't very nice, you know. That wasn't very nice at all. You can just sit there in the dark, think about what you've done. Think about it. Think.
The dead shall have their day. Day of the Dead.
Extraordinary, isn't it?
Okay, but we have to talk about the woman's boyfriend because if I was a bit tired and I've been working a bit hard, and then you stuck a flesh-eating zombie that if it bit me even slightly would turn me into the Walking Dead in front of me with a pole, doesn't matter how tired I was, the amount of adrenaline going through my system, there's no way I'd let that thing go.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That was. I mean, obviously, your contention of being
pathetic.
a bit tired might be a bit unfair on the guy who was suffering from exhaustion and probably borderline malnutrition. But he was, that guy was yeah. The thing is, and the weird thing was, despite the fact that he was utterly pathetic, still probably the best sort of, in air quotes, man on the base.
Yeah.
When you think about it, and he was still awful. I mean,
Yeah. He hit his whizzes. He slaps her twice.
I know that was the part at which he lost all sympathy, really, because
Yeah.
I mean, not that I condone this behaviour, but calling her a bitch and having a go at her a little bit verbally is one thing in the situation they're in. But yeah, the point where he actually hits her was like out of nowhere. It's just like, really? The last woman on earth, as far as you're concerned, and you're going to slap her. Someone is going to be going to bed and making friends with their right hand, basically. But given the list of options, you had the military dickheads who were real dickheads, like utter, just really, just they were stereotypes, but like in the sort of best possible sense of the 80s, really. And you had the colonel, who, as you said, was on the sort of personal Richter scale of 2 to 10, and then you had the alcoholic and the very lazy helicopter pilot who thought he was Bob Marley.
Yes. Oh no, we decided it was King Willie from Predator 2, didn't we?
Oh no, because he did turn into that, didn't he? Because he had that line.
The other side.
Yeah. No killing what can't be killed. You should probably edit that out or do a voice alteration on that last bit, lest it comes out wrong. I'll just stick to my Bruce voice. There's no killing what can't be killed. No killing what can't be killed.
Actually, yeah, you can't do that back to front with the Bruce thing.
You can't.
Oh, God.
No, you can't. No, can't you be killing?
Actually, could you do a Yoda line in Bruce Forsyth, because they use the same language problems, don't they?
I don't know what I could. I suppose there's a do or not, do not. There is no try. There is no try. Do or a do not.
Thank you, sir.
There you go.
Fantastic.
Oh, really quickly, actually, I watched. As I told you, I watched that. Welcome to the Dark Side? That edit of the 3 prequel Star Wars films.
Yes.
And right, it's still awful. The prequels cannot be saved. Just by watching that, it's still a vast improvement, cutting it down to 3 hours. But the only notable thing about it is, and I'll say to the listeners what I said to you, is the joke of how much of the Phantom Menace they use. There's basically an opening crawl, and then it cuts to the Obi-Wan Kenobi, Darth Maul, Qui-Gon Jinn fight, and that is all they keep of the Phantom Menace. That is literally it, and then it goes straight from that into Attack of the Clones, and that is the best thing about it. That's the best bit of editing I've ever seen, bar none.
Just cut an entire movie out. So does that mean Jake Lloyd is not in it at all?
Jake Lloyd is not in it at all, not one single frame.
The way it should be.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Oh.
And do they mention midichlorians at any point?
Nope.
Excellent.
Well, wait, yes, sort of in passing, because they still have the bit where the Emperor at the opera mentions that Darth Plagueis the Wise can control the midichlorians that create life. But there's no mention of midichlorians in the context of they are responsible for the Force.
Okay.
So it's like saying, he could control DNA that can create life, so you can kind of get away with it. But they do a half-decent job of editing Anakin Skywalker and Padme's relationship to something slightly less cringeworthy.
Oh, good.
Slightly.
Because that's not good. I just don't know if I can bring myself to watch it or not. Anyway, that's not horror.
Yes, it is. Oh, it's
No, it's
horror.
not.
It's horror.
So our second movie night was we were going to watch Dead Snow 2, and that didn't really work out. So we went to the second choice. And to be honest, I feel quite bad because when I go along to these things and Rhino says, everybody can vote, but if I'm the loudest gob in the room, I just seem to be able to impose my will on everybody else there.
Democracy doesn't work. No one votes.
I'm just insidious, aren't I? I'm just like, well, me and Lavinia equals 2 votes, and that outvotes everybody else.
Yeah, Lavinia always votes with you, so you're an automatic power block. The fact that everyone else is so utterly passive, means basically you win by diktat. You win by being you are the 2 to 10 colonel in the room.
I am a bit, and I always have a strong opinion on what film I want to watch. That's where it comes from, I guess.
And I think you like to feel slightly smug and superior by always choosing a film you've already seen. So you know all the twists that are coming, you know everything's there, and you can sit back and make your comments. And you appear cleverer than you would if you hadn't seen the film, and act to have a stab in the dark like the rest of us.
I thought I was quite quiet last night in the second movie.
You had a few 2 moments rather than all 10 moments. It's true.
Okay.
But
so, what was the second film?
Life After Beth, with Aubrey Plaza and Dane DeHaas, and also a whole bunch of other really good actors, Anna Kendrick and some others who the casting director deserves a pat on the back because they were a really good supporting crew.
There were. But did you enjoy it?
Yes, it was really good fun. I wasn't sure where it was going to end up, which in itself is a bit of an achievement for a zombie film.
Yes.
But right until the end, and it's one of those rare zombie films where, and again, spoiler alert, it actually resolves completely, which is very rare in a zombie film. In fact, I can't think of any other zombie. Shaun of the Dead, I suppose, is the only other zombie film where the plot actually properly, completely resolves, and it's really entertaining all the way through. And even though you really should know what's going to happen, you kind of don't, which is clever in itself. But it's funny, it's sad, it's violent, and it's. And I don't know if you're allowed to use this expression on this podcast, but it's also quite heartwarming in places.
Yeah, it's acceptable. We're not complete heathens.
Okay, well, I wasn't sure. I mean, I've listened to the podcast before, and, I assumed that you and your fellow co-hosts were reptiles.
Thank you.
Like in V.
No, films make me cry occasionally.
With laughter.
Just admitted that publicly. Yes.
I know the things you laugh at during horror films, Boz, so...
Yeah, that's true.
I'm aware...
Actually, you know what we missed yesterday? That we should have watched, actually. This is a real hindsight thing, I'm kicking myself for it, but we should have got hold of Zombievers somehow.
Oh, yeah.
That would have been a slam dunk.
That would have been good. Although I've heard only bad reviews of that film.
What?
I've only... and proper bad ones. Not so bad it's good, but just... This is an attempt to be so bad it's good. But it's just... Yeah, all the jokes are used up in the name. So... But, I'm prepared to stand to be corrected. And besides, it's a very funny name.
Yeah. I thought it was a funny film, but it was sort of... you're on the Euphoria first night of the festival in a crowd, in a crowd of horror fans. Maybe I got swept away with it all. So, yeah, I think Life After Beth was a good choice. It hit the cinema and it just sort of came and went with a whimper. I didn't hear any buzz about it at all, which I was quite disappointed about.
Yeah, I didn't. It certainly didn't come to any cinemas near me. So,
it did. It had a weekend release, but nobody said anything about it. So
yeah,
it was on for 3 days and then gone, and nobody went to see it. So.
I mean, Aubrey Plaza and Dane DeHaas aren't big names in England, or the UK, I should say. Whereas in America, obviously, they're going to be because... Dane DeHaas has only just done Spider-Man 2, which is what's made him over here. And Aubrey Plaza is in Parks and Recreation, which is not even aired over here, I don't think, unless you look for it.
I've never seen it.
So, just as a sidebar, well worth seeing. She plays a radically different character in it than from Life After Beth, which made it even more entertaining when you compare the two. But whereas Warm Bodies, which got quite a bit of attention over here, has got that guy who I think is an awful actor who plays the Beast in X-Men First Class and Days of Future Past, and in Skins. Who makes me cringe every time he opens his mouth and says something, because I don't even he can wear sunglasses convincingly, but because he's over here, because he's an English actor, it gets attention. So, and from what I gather, Warm Bodies is not a tenth of the film that Life After Beth is.
No, I mean I'd like to say it from an educated point of view, but I wasn't willing to put myself through that movie. So, but I still made my review of it coming out of Fright Fest of just get rid of every copy of Warm Bodies. Because I saw the trailer, that was enough, and I could see that, Laugh After Beth was just a much better film. And obviously Dane DeHaas, he was also in Chronicle. He was fantastic in that movie.
I need to see that. I really need to see that.
You do. You really need to see that, especially being the big superhero fan that you are.
Yeah, because
it's really interesting.
Found footage, but for superheroes.
Yeah, but
not annoying.
Yeah, well, it sort of starts in the normal annoying found footage way, but the way they sort of decide to get the footage later on is really imaginative, and I liked that. It was really well handled, very inventive. It was good to see something new in that genre.
Well, it's on my list. It's in my like next 5 films to watch. So
cool. So let me know what you think.
Yeah, no, we'll do. I mean, because the thing is, Dane DeHaas, and this is not, I don't mean this disrespectfully, because I think he's a very good actor, but he's got a bit of a creepy face, and I think he's going to be playing mostly creepy roles for his career. Because
unfortunately,
because he does. He has he has very piercing eyes and a weird slanting forehead.
It's a big forehead, isn't it?
It is, and it's got an angle to it as well, which is weird for a big forehead, because he's not gone the Frankenstein route. He's gone more like a sort of snowy mountain, like...
It's gone the route, like he had a choice in the genetics pool. Yeah, I'll go for the slopey head.
He didn't have to take the Goblin formula, I'm just saying. But yeah, I really do. I do want to see that. I've seen him in Spider-Man 2, and I've seen him in a couple of other small roles. But I think in Life After Beth, he was bang on. I think he did a really good acting job because, and again, I don't mean this disrespectfully, but he kind of had to compensate for his creepy face because he was the character you had to really feel sorry for because he was the main part and he was the guy who was, he was the protagonist and he was the sort of romantic lead. Whereas, Beth is a dark role, but also an overtly comedic role. And I think Dane DeHaas did a really good job of being the straight man and getting a lot of humour out of, a role that it would have been really easy for him to screw that role up and just be annoying.
Yeah.
You put like a Robin Pattinson in there or someone like that, and it's just going to be, oh my God, I'm throwing rocks at the screen.
Yeah, that's very true.
And Aubrey Plaza just does an amazing job as Beth. I mean, she is just exactly perfect for the role in every scene. She just, she knocks it out of the park. She's funny, she's scary, you feel sorry for her, and she does a really good zombie growl.
Yes, she does.
A really good zombie growl, and zombies are like not the easiest thing to voice and make interesting and distinct, considering what they are.
Yeah. I just love the character. And you said the first, so almost as soon as she's on screen, you're like, oh, she does such a good dead stare, sort of into the distance, like she's not even here.
Yeah, and you know what? No one lifts a fridge like Aubrey Plaza. I'm going to say that now. But yeah, a really good, really, really good film, and I'm glad that they didn't, because I also think it would have been an easy film to franchise in a sort of odd kind of way. And just churn out something else, because if it had ended the way that you told me it ended initially before I saw the real ending, I really thought it was going to turn out to be, the next film would be Life After Beth, the road movie. thing, and there'd be like
no, it'd be Life After Beth, the hike.
Yeah, the hikening. But it was a very good, complete story. I hugely recommend it. To anyone who likes to laugh and cry and be scared.
Okay.
or people, as they're generally referred to as.
Yeah, there we go. Actually, because if I know we have a few people listen to this who really don't want watching horror, but they'd like to listen to us talk about them. I would say you can safely watch Life After Beth because there's virtually no gore. I mean, there's no gore really.
There's bits of blood, but it's not blood. It's not like you don't see anyone get torn apart, or he doesn't rely on a lot of the zombie tropes for the scares. Actually, thinking about it,
are there any scares? Would you say scares?
I was quite scared when she punched a hole in the wall.
That's just funny.
I know it's funny, but I just was thinking, just like I thought it was more anticipation because I really thought it was going to lead to her punching through people and stuff like that. But
Oh, I see, right. She just walks down the hall, knocks all the paintings off, and just goes, "Ah, motherfucker!" Just sticks her fist through the wall.
yeah, it is very
It's so
funny.
funny.
It is very funny. But yeah, no, there's not. It's for a film that is definitely wearing its heart on its sleeve as being a horror as well as I don't know a romantic comedy, I guess. It doesn't. It's a sort of I don't know for what way of putting it, but it's a safe film to watch if you are squeamish about horror.
Yeah,
You know?
definitely. You can enjoy the genre and not worry that something nasty's around the corner. So I would recommend this to anybody.
Yeah, it's oddly family
My own
friendly.
mother, I'd recommend it to. So we should probably stop gushing about that, and because I did cover it sort of a bit on the Fright Fest thing, but and incidentally, although I recorded that review weeks ago, we're probably going to find that comes out and then this very close afterwards, or vice versa. So we're going to have 2 shows on the trot talking about this movie. So for that, I apologise. One thing I do want to cover, which is upcoming this year, I have booked my tickets and hopefully making arrangements for. I am hoping to get to the Leeds International Film Festival again with our good friend Jonathan Bloody Wilkinson for Phenomenon Day of the Dead and the Night of the Dead, which are sort of back-to-back movies for hours and hours and hours. Similar to Fright Fest, I guess, but they split it over 2 separate weekends. And Day of the Dead's up first this year, and we have an interesting Spanish movie about demonic possession called Asmodexia, werewolves from Denmark, When Animals Dream, vampires from New Zealand, What We Do in the Shadows, and Kevin Smith's latest body horror, Tusk. And obviously they always do loads of really cool shorts as well, and I love horror shorts. That was one of the highlights for me seeing Night of the Dead last year. Some of the shorts we saw there were brilliant. Funny enough, one of which was Fist of Jesus, which we have talked about before, but Ryan only saw today.
That's a glorious, glorious film, and it's very important to get young people watching it so that they can understand their Bible better.
Yes. Because I find the cowboys in the New Testament are often horrendously overlooked.
And cynically so. I mean, the Gospel of Eastwood is one of the most important Gospels in the Bible. And also, people don't realise that Jesus was in fact a black belt in many, many martial arts. In fact, Jesus invented most of them.
Yeah.
The all-important fish foo comes from him.
I was just going to say fish food. Because it sounds like fish food. Oh, God, I'm worried how similar we are. Right. Oh, sorry, I just took the Lord's name in vain. But the Judas bit in that is also... when he hangs himself on the tree. Oh, just such a good little short. Unfortunately, I think the Kickstarter campaign to make it into a feature failed.
Oh, no, I didn't know. I mean, I came to it late in the day. I would have happily given them some shekels for that because...
Shekels like it. I think they fell rather short. I think a lot of people realise that it's a really good short, but it probably has limited scope as a feature-length movie.
Does that mean that Once Upon a Time in Jerusalem is not going to happen now? Which was the thing at the end that they mentioned. Jesus will return in Once Upon a Time in Jerusalem.
Do you know what? I think somehow they're still going to make it. Although the fundraising may have not reached target, I think they will find another way to do it.
I hope so because there's a series of shorts in that. I agree with you. A feature film, maybe not so much because even after like 15 minutes, the joke of Jesus beating up a bunch of people with a fish rib sword wears a little bit thin.
Yeah,
but it was just enough. But a feature film. And no, actually, no. What, pun intended? God alone only knows how they would have extended that into a feature film.
I was looking at the Kickstarter and some of the things. If you bid at the really high levels, one of the rewards was you would actually get one of the original fish saw rib cage saw thingies.
Nice.
Props. I worded that really well, didn't I? Fucking.
I just about understand what you mean. Something about fish. You get fish if you...
The fishbone saw.
The fishbone saw.
The big one, yes.
Yeah. If you chip in enough, you get resurrected from the dead.
Yeah. If you chip in even more, you get resurrected from the dead as a cowboy with a 6-shooter.
So time travel as well as resurrection.
Yeah. So,
but yeah, thank you very much for introducing that to me, because I wouldn't have randomly typed Fist of Jesus into Google and found it. So
no, I suppose not. Why would you?
So, although
do you want the good news?
I go on.
There is another film from the same guys. They actually did it before Fist of Jesus.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Jesus has 2 fists, and therefore there's.
I was going to say Jesus has risen. No, I'm not going down that road. No, but the other one is called Brutal Relax.
Oh, okay. Wait, is that? Hang on, let me think. Is that the one where there's a sort of slobby guy sunbathing in a deck chair and Cthulhu?
That's the one.
Yeah, I saw that at bizarrely the Sci-Fi Film Festival years ago. It was amazing.
Yeah, well, same guys. So now you understand.
Direction-wise, now thinking back, that's kind of obvious, and I should have known that. But yeah, no, that was amazing. That was another film where it just sort of comes at you out of the blue. So, all right, brilliant. Oh, I'm gonna have to go back and watch that again now. Brutal Relax.
Yeah. So also Night of the Dead. I was just looking for a rundown of what's coming, but it's given me last year's for some reason.
Was last year's where Wolf Cop debuted? Didn't Wolf Cop debut at Leeds?
I don't think so.
No. Oh, you know what? No, I'm getting it mixed up with What We Do in the Shadows, because it's got one of the chaps from Flight of the Conchords in it, hasn't it?
Has it?
Yeah, he's one of the writers.
Didn't know that.
He's one of the writers. The one with glasses.
Interesting.
Yeah. And also, one of the vampires in it is the guy who, and this is less of a pedigree, played Green Lantern's best friend in the Green Lantern Live movie with Ryan Reynolds. Yeah. In the Green Lantern. Yeah, so he's one of the vampires as well.
Yeah,
because it's got a really nice. The makeup in it's really nice because it's like 5 different types of vampire essentially living under the same roof, and a documentary being made about them and how they cope. And I think the basic plot through line is one of them has turned someone into a vampire, some new person into a vampire for the first time, and because he has modern sensibilities, he wants to show off and tell everyone because he thinks being a vampire is really cool, and it's about them dealing with that.
Oh, that's a cool idea.
So it does. It does look good actually. So
I had to get all of that. I've just I know I mentioned to you that other short. I said I should have mentioned for the Zombie Night last night. It's called Happy Birthday, Mr. Zombie. And I've just found the link with all of the shorts from last year's, so I'm just sending you that now in the Skype chat, so you can look at those at your leisure. Because I'm obviously done my research really well. And I'm trying. Could they use Roman numerals, which is really annoying because it's years since I did that. So 4 is IV, isn't it?
Correct.
Let's see if that works. Oh, there we go. Just trying to find the Night of the Dead list. Oh, yes, of course, that was it. Right, Wolf Cop is playing. Right, I'm glad we didn't watch Wolf Cop because that is playing at Night of the Dead.
I thought so.
ABCs of Death 2, which I'm really looking forward to. Sadly, a film is playing that I've already seen, but not sadly in that I fucking loved it, and I'll gladly watch it again, and that's Housebound, one from New Zealand. So, yeah, cool. Looking forward to that.
You know what, if you really want to be depressed, watch a Canadian or a New Zealand horror film because they are so bleak.
No, this one's hilarious.
Oh, really? Oh,
it's brilliant.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's just I find ones from there, like Australia, New Zealand, and Canada, are the trifecta for, you'll start in a really mundane, crappy situation, and then it will get worse. Like much, much worse.
Like Wolf Creek, being in the outback, which is shit. Sorry.
And the Bunny Man Massacre.
Oh yes,
which
which I
just
still haven't watched.
yeah, kind of watch it and then get drunk and destroy the memory cells, because it's one of those films that if you're a horror fan you should watch, just so you know why you never need to watch films like that.
Okay, yeah, I mean that's me. You know what I'm like.
There is, that's true. There's one scene in it where, and I don't know if it was just really good luck or amazing direction, but this one scene, and this may make me sound like a pervert, but this woman who is topless for no decent reason is running away from the villain, gets killed, gets I think her throat slit, and she falls, and the way she falls backwards, it like the falling bit's fine, but she lands so that one of her breasts is exactly in the frame of shot of the camera, and this camera was on the floor. The camera does not move, so she lands exactly. So you get like the most perfect shot of one of her boobs, and I'm just trying to figure out if the director's a genius of predictive movement, the woman's some kind of weird gymnast or what. But you could not have got a better shot if you wanted to be. If you were like filming a sleazy, dirty, crappy horror film and you want titillation in it, it was the perfect shot for a person to fall down dead. It was amazing. Like the one bit of the film that stayed with me is that, and it's
The
not
boob
even,
frame.
It's not even just because like I found the woman like hot or anything like that, but the way that her breast is framed in shot, it was almost
just a work of art. It was like a still portrait.
It was the Terrence Malick of dirty, skeevy porno horror film shots. There you go.
You could just walk around the Tate and it would just be a still from the film that just says breast.
I just really hope whoever direct that film isn't listening to this podcast and takes my quote out of context and says, the Terrence Malick of...
I don't think such heavy hitters listen to this show. I wouldn't worry.
Oh, God. If the Bunnyman Massacre director is a heavy hitter, then the film industry's in a really bad way. Unless, of course, it was Terrence Malick.
Yeah, it could have been.
Man, it could have been. We don't know.
So I'm really looking forward to that now. I get to see Wolf Cop on the big screen, which I was gutted that I missed at Fright Fest because it was on a Discovery screen, so I get to remedy that situation. That is fantastic. So I'm now looking forward to that.
So that was going to be at the next movie night, the next werewolf movie night. It was going to be a double bill of Wolf Cop and Wolves.
Oh, it still can be. It's just I will have seen it by then, so I'm pleased. You know me, because I like to have seen the film and feel smug. Remember, you said that, not me. Anyway, moving on. Now, I don't know if we should admit to this, but then I suppose nobody knows who you are or where you live.
Okay.
You have seen the Constantine pilot.
Yes. No.
Have you not?
Yes. No. Yes.
Officially, because you have contacts in the industry, and it was very legitimate and above board.
I'm people who knows people. Yeah, my underworld contacts.
Yes.
Yeah. What I did was I set up a series of prisms and strategically placed them around the Earth, and the light from the TV sets in America reflected it. So it wasn't illegal, it was physics.
Brilliant. Are you going to tell us about it or not?
Oh, yeah, well, you know, I mean, yeah, okay, well, the first thing I should say is this is, to a much larger extent, but not perfectly, but to a much larger extent, Constantine done correctly from the comic Hellblazer.
Good.
I'll just add in quickly, I'm sure most people know, but it's called Constantine rather than Hellblazer because studio found it was too similar to Hellraiser the movies, which is so it's not called Hellblazer as it technically should be. It's called Constantine. Although technically, apparently, it's supposed to be Constantine because that's the British way of pronouncing it. But anyway, yes. that's by the by.
And this one hasn't got Keanu Dude in it.
No, not at all. No. Although, funnily enough, having said that, the guy playing Constantine, has the weirdest English accent. Like, the actor himself is Welsh, and Constantine is supposed to be a Scouser who has lived in London a long time, so he has an affected accent. And this guy, he sounds English, you know, so there's no problem with that. He doesn't sound like he's putting on a fake English accent, but where in England he's supposed to be from, Although there are moments in it where I expect him to say winter is coming, because there's moments where he sounds to me like Sean Bean.
Okay. So he sounds vaguely northern. I mean, I'll take that.
Yeah, he does sound vaguely northern. Not
That's
quite
all right.
northern enough, but in terms of geography. But yeah, and the plot is very straightforward. It's there to set up who the players are, what's at stake, to give you enough of Constantine's backstory and why he's driven by guilt, who his allies are, and the fact that most of the time, if you become his friend or get to know him, you will get killed in a horrible way. And he does a very good job of establishing that. It's very simple. I mean, if you're a comics purist, there are a couple of things that will niggle, but it gets a lot more right in terms of setting up. And it gets like 1,000% more right than the Constantine film with Keanu Reeves. The weird thing is, and this is a strange complaint, especially because I'm a big comics fan as well, and I've read every issue of Hellblazer there ever was, his outfit, what he's wearing, looks almost too accurate. He looks like someone doing an amazing cosplay of the comics character. Like it almost looks too good. Like his tie is rumpled, his shirt is rumpled, his tie is undone to the perfect degree, his collar's up, almost like he's walked off of the page. And the only difference is he's wearing like a short trench coat rather than the long trench coat, which is what he wears in the comics. And that's not really going to bother many people. I mean, I only noticed because, like I said, I'm like a really hardcore Hellblazer fan. But yeah, it's odd. It is odd. It's like it is almost too accurate. You know, it's very. I know that's a really strange thing to say, but you know, 99% of the time when they make a comic to TV or film conversion, they have to change the costume to make it look a bit more real world. Like in the Flash and in Arrow, for example, they're close enough, but they have to change them a bit because they kind of wouldn't work if they were wearing spandex, kind of a thing.
I say spandex doesn't work in the real world.
Spandex does not work in the real world, exactly. So, but yeah, I mean, there's something. I mean, like, I don't know where. Like, Constantine's only friend who ever survives is a taxi cab driver from London called Chaz. And they've transported everything across to America in this, and I don't know where Chaz is supposed to be from in this, but they've made one big change to two big changes to his character. That it's kind of this. It's really only one change, but there's two big aspects to it, which is going to annoy a lot of comic fans. I know that. It bothered me a little bit. I don't know how much you sort of want me to spoil, really.
None.
Okay, but they. Sorry. And I don't know where he's supposed to be from in this, but he's driving an American cab, so they've transplanted the whole thing lock stock. Although the producers and writers have said that this is if it goes long enough, it will go international, and there will be episodes in London and stuff like that, which is good because although the character has had adventures in in America, they've all been kind of elements where there's been the culture shock. He is a Scouse lad in America, and so there's a culture clash. Whereas if you acclimatise him to America too much, he loses some of his English flavour, I think.
That's fairly common, though, isn't it, with anything? I mean, look at Hellraiser.
Yeah, well, that's very true. But the guy playing Constantine does a very good job. I mean, my one sort of complaint is I think he wears his heart on his sleeve more than the comic book character does. But I think that's probably because, you know, it's a kind of narrative shortcut. If they played him as sort of, if you played his cards as close to the chest as the comic book character did, it might well take too long to get anywhere.
Exactly. I mean, that's series Bible writing, isn't it? Because you've got to give audiences a lot about the characters very quickly when you're establishing. Otherwise, you know, you get the Firefly scenario and you're cancelled by the end of your first season. Yeah. So there is sort of a pressure to rush character development, unfortunately.
Yeah, and this does do a good job of that because you know who Constantine is, what he can do, you know what motivates him, and you know what his personal ongoing quest is, which is very different to the comics, but it's actually something you could conceivably see the comic character do, really. It's not out of character, it's just something that he never did in the comics. And I mean, they've got 300 odd comics of story to draw on. There are some stories they'll never be able to do because it's not an HBO series.
Yeah.
And also he's not allowed to smoke, which is kind of, it's a minor thing, but it's a character thing. Like, for example, in one of the things that rankled me most about the Constantine film was he smokes in it, he gets the lung cancer and gets cured, and the last scene is he has a stick of gum instead of a cigarette, which is, and I don't mean this to sound, like cultural imperialism, but that's very American. He's learned his lesson, and the whole point of Constantine is that he never learns his lesson. He'll just go straight back into doing the terrible and self-destructive things. And in the original comic that was based on, Dangerous Habits, he does all that, gets cured, does the same thing. The cure is slightly more harrowing in the comics, but the last thing he does, he's cured of lung cancer, he pulls out a cigarette, starts smoking again, because he is a cocky dick, and that's what he does. And not having him smoke is something you can get away with, but it's kind of annoying. I mean, it would be nice if they cheated and just in every other scene he's in, there is just a cigarette in an ashtray in front of him. He never picks it up or puts it in his mouth, but it's there, and you know who put it there.
How about like in Gilmore Girls, where they keep getting brought plates of burgers and chips and fries, and there's two skinny girls that eat burgers and chips and fries every day, but never put any weight on. You never see them eat anything in 7 seasons.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, God, yeah, exactly.
I just brought up the Gilmore Girls on a horror podcast. You're fucking welcome.
There you go. A different form of horror, but horror to be sure. But
Best series ever.
But hey, finest 7
We'll talk about that off air.
Finest 7 seasons of inter-female chit-chat ever. But it's one thing is, and this was kind of known beforehand by like anyone paying attention to it, is that the female who was going to be the female lead has been written out after the pilot and has been replaced by another female character. Now, the pilot I saw, I get the feeling, was one that had been rewritten and had some bits reshot to accommodate this, especially the ending. And so there'll be another female lead in it, and I can kind of see why, because the actress in it, there's nothing wrong with her performance, it's a perfectly solid performance, but it's a bit too much like and I'm going to forget the actress's name, but the lady who played the female cop in Constantine the movie.
Jeez, I don't even remember. It's so many years since I saw that movie.
She's married to Daniel Craig.
No.
Well, whoever she is.
Sorry.
And she's very bland. There's, it's a workmanlike performance, but her character's bland. There's nothing to her, and it's just not interesting. And her story works so much more effectively with her being written out at the end of it. So fair play to them for doing that and recognising and listening to test audiences. One other thing, Harold Perrineau from Lost, who played Walt's dad in Lost, and was Mercutio in Baz Luhrmann's Romeo and Juliet, those are the things I know him from, plays an angel called Manny in it, and he's really good. He's really good. Made up for the TV show, but he's good enough that you don't care. He's not doing anything particularly clever, but he's potentially very interesting.
Cool. Well, when we get to actually see that, I look forward to it. But I won't say any more about availability, but it does sound like it's something that could run. So, fingers crossed.
Prisms, use prisms.
Prisms, yeah. So, we've rattled through an hour, so I'm probably going to start wrapping things up there. Plus, it's late and it's a school night. The last thing I want to mention is I want to do a little plug, actually. It's a bit of a weird story. A few weeks ago, the iOS 8 update came out for the iPhone, and I stupidly tried to clear enough space and install it directly onto my phone, rather than plugging it into my computer. And it sort of bricked it. And so I was suddenly very lost, because that's my full audio listening device for going out during the day. And a lot of people know I do a lot of driving. So I have a work phone, which has a sort of a tenuous internet connection and will run SoundCloud. So I thought, well, I'll stick it on, see what I can find. And I just decided to type in horror. Now, officially, I've said on the show before, I don't listen to other horror podcasts, not because I don't think anyone else is good enough. It's just I don't want to like steal other people's opinions, or do you know what I mean? Just I like to come at it fresh. So if I've heard somebody else talk about a film I haven't seen, I don't kind of want to hear their rundown of it because it may influence mine. That's just the way I go about things. Anyway, I came across this little podcast called The Podcast Under the Stairs, and to my absolute delight, I found the host is Scottish, and the episode I happened across, he's not on every show, but he's on a lot of the shows. The guy's called Baz. So it's like Boz with an A. So yeah, I thought that's so funny. That's a lovely little coincidence. But I sort of got beyond that and listened to the show, and I just found it thoroughly entertaining. They're really enigmatic guys. They're doing a series for Halloween at the moment called Halloween versus Baz. And the impression I get, I haven't gone all the way through the back catalogue yet because I haven't had time. But I think Baz is a bit like our beloved Admiral, where we're putting him through the ringer and making him watch horror movies, whereas he's not been able to handle them in the past. They're sort of doing the same thing to Baz systematically. And Duncan, the host, is making him watch horror films. I don't know if he eased him into this. I need to go back and listen and find out where it started from. But I think it's like the versus thing is, did the film win or did Baz win? If Baz wins, basically didn't get to him, didn't scare him, didn't upset him at all. And the Halloween series is the Paranormal Activity series. And at the moment, I think the score is Baz 0. Every single one of them has shit him up slightly. And listening to him talk about it was brilliant, but they also do a film before. They talk about a film before it and then the paranormal film. And the one I just listened to, they were talking about the Blair Witch Project first. And they both had stories about going to see the Blair Witch Project and the motion problem that a lot of people have with the camera movement taking its toll on both of them. I'm not going to say any more because I want you to go and listen to it. But they fucking had me in stitches between the two of them on their Blair Witch experiences. So yeah, I've joined their Facebook group and started chatting with them on there. And yeah, I wanted to give them a plug because I'm really enjoying their work. Also, Duncan's got some kind of contact with Arrow, and he's getting screener DVDs, and he's doing little additional episodes where he's reviewing the Blu-rays or the DVDs or whatever they're sending him. So they're really good listens as well, if you want to know which ones are the ones to get, really. And some quite obscure titles, if you know Arrow. They do go a bit left field sometimes. So, yeah, there's my little plug, anyway. So, the Scottish guy and Baz.
The Mirror Universe Boz.
Yeah, I think it's that Baz is Scottish as well. That's the only difference. But, yeah, give them a listen. I'll put it in the show notes. So you've got a link to their podcast feed and Facebook page. So there we go. Anything else you want to say, Ryan? Have you got anything you want to plug? I think you should talk about your donation page. Loved you and want to give you money.
If you want to donate money, I'm on justgiving.com/Ryan Blake is climbing a mountain, and basically all the donations on that go towards the Macmillan's Cancer Trust. And the plan is, if I'm well enough, next October I'm going to be climbing Mount Kilimanjaro, and I need to raise £4,000 in order to do that. Now, not one penny of that from the money I raise goes towards paying for any of my equipment or flight out there or anything like that. That's all that I pay for all of that. This is just all that money goes to Macmillan's Cancer Trust. And that goes to research into a cure, hospice care, palliative care, and support for not just for the people who have cancer, but for the families of people who are going through it as well. So it's a really good cause.
It is, and considering they're helping my family a lot at the moment, it's very close to my heart as well. So if you've got spare cash running around and you want to give it. We'll put a link on the show notes for that as well.
Yeah, everything else. We're at 53% at the moment.
Get in.
So it's going really well. And then as I said, we've been doing the movie nights, and I'm basically selling my entire graphic novel, music, and DVD collection to help fund this as well. So,
which is fucking heroic, if you ask me.
no, I have really bad taste. So really, so please, if you can, please help. And also on Facebook, look for Geek Garage Sale, and that's where I'm selling all of my worldly goods. And you'll be able to see there if there's anything there you're interested in sort of bidding for. So
I haven't looked on purpose. I don't have space. No, we'll link to that as well. We will.
Boz Baz is a very spiteful person.
Boz Baz.
Boz Baz. I don't know which one
Boz
I'm talking
Baz
to.
Oh dear. Right, let's get the flock out of here. So, thank you very much, Ryan. I've thoroughly enjoyed this.
Oh, thank you. Thanks.
Feels like it's ages since I saw you last.
It's been hours.
Yeah, this is how fucking lazy I am. Ryan lives about 5 miles away from me. We're doing this over Skype, but hey ho.
Yep, pretty much.
Sorry.
He just
I'll
wants
try and make
power,
sure we're in the same room next time.
He just wants the power of editing and veto over my voice. So all the clever things I've said have been edited out of this podcast. Really, I'm very funny, witty, and urbane and clever, but I probably sound like an idiot because of him.
Yeah, I'm an asshole. And on that note, send your emails to... I'm trying to remember now. We've changed email addresses. Yes, podofhorrors@simplysyndicated.com, please. And if you have reviews or you're going to recommend us a film, please send it there. That would be fantastic. Or hit us up on our Facebook group. We post fairly regularly on there. So if you're not a member, please go like us and you'll get things pop up in your feed. Right, I'm really going now. Thank you, Ryan. You are a legend.
That means I'm dead. Okay. Thank you.
Until next time.
Good night.
If you would like to get in touch with the show,
please send an email to
podofhorrors@simplysyndicated.com,
tweet @podofhorrors,
or visit the Facebook group,
facebook.com/The Little Pod of Horrors.
Also, make sure to check out our blog
at thelittlepodofhorrors.com
for updates,
polls,
and other thoughts on the horror genre.
Thank you.